guys, I am Crystal Sky, and today I decided I wanted to do a character design, and the way this character came about specifically was Medusa. Some people are afraid of snakes, right? I'm petrified of spiders. So I decided to make Medusa's head a spider because some people are afraid of snakes, so let's put my fear of spiders on top of her head. So that's how my brain processed that. And so the sketching came about, and I did like kind of a Medusa, almost basic line art in the top, and then I was kind of looking around and thinking about what a spider would look like, and maybe would its legs be down, would its legs be up. I decided to have legs up, make it kind of look creepier. It's almost like it's sitting on her head. It's kind of like not a hat, but it's a Medusa type creature that is a spider. And I did a full body sketch here, and I didn't like it, so I cropped out the section that I liked, and I ended up moving that into the final sketch. Now, I originally thought that I was going to do this digitally, do the sketching digitally, and then bring it into the real painting. I would be using maybe something like acrylics or gouache, and I ended up really truly hating the acrylic painting that I did. It was just in my sketchbook, but I had limited acrylic paint, and I just did not like it. I used a gold and silver acrylic. I thought it would be cool to kind of make her look very mystical with some cool silvery sparkling colors, and I ended up hating it so much I just said no, and so I ended up doing it in Procreate. I'm doing this in Procreate on my iPad Pro, and everything in this video besides the painting that I did in acrylic was done in Procreate. And I also used my little sketchbook, which you guys have seen before, and some really cheap acrylic Michaels brand paint. So those are all my art supplies. I used some Winsor & Newton brushes and such, just in case you were curious. I really had a lot of trouble picking colors for this. I was originally going to go with a regular skin tone, but it just didn't fit on this character. Medusa, if I remember correctly, has like a normalized skin tone, but it just didn't look right on her. So the first thing I decided to go with was purple, and it just worked. She's kind of Halloween themed. That was not intentional. It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. Why is she Halloween themed? I don't know. It just seemed practical. So when I think spiders, I think of the ugliest green color I can think of. So that was the first color I picked for behind the eyes. I picked the purple skin tone, and then everything just kind of culminated onto that. I tried to pick complementary colors based on the purple color and the greens and the background. So I picked kind of like a sunsetty background color and like a sick looking green for everything else. I had a lot of trouble with the line art for this picture, for this character, and I wanted her to be doing something interesting. And the anatomy, if you look at it, I don't know if I've maybe been staring at it for too long, or if it just looks awful, but I think it might be the second one. The anatomy of the neck and the back of the head doesn't place right. It doesn't look like her head is attached to the spinal column. That is right there. If you look at a picture of anatomy, the spinal column and the head kind of attaches there. It doesn't look like it's attached there. And it actually makes her look more creepy, which is why I ended up keeping it and liking it more than the physical drawing, is because the anatomy is all wrong, and it makes her look more otherworldly, more creepy, and I already pictured this character as a super creepy character. I just wanted to say here, always make sure to keep your layers when you're working digitally organized. You could lose those layers really fast and you're not going to know what's on what layer. And when you're doing multiple layers of paint, like I was here, it's really important to make sure you have an organized an organized set of layers. Wow, okay. That's my PSA for this video, because if I hadn't kept my layers organized, I would have lost everything for this painting. What I ended up doing was condensing the layers, and that really helped a lot, but then I also had trouble working with some of the other layers here. So as you can see here, I'm shadowing and I'm trying to get a highlight for the skin. The skin overall looks really boring. So what I wanted to bring was shadows and highlights, and I wanted to kind of almost blend them together to make a really in-depth character. But it didn't make her pop. It just kind of made her skin look less boring, which is always good. A purple skin tone is really quite difficult when you think about it, because normal skin tones you can take it and you can learn, but then with a purple skin tone, I don't know anybody that's purple. So with my inexperience, I'm sure if I were more experienced with art, I would be able to add or have what I know about regular skin tones of all colors and spectrums, and use that information to make wilder skin tones. It's really important, I think, when you're first learning, to gather as much data as possible in your brain so you know how things work before you build on that and go above that. And I just never did that. And it's really frustrating sometimes when I look at something and I go, I don't know how that works, and so I can't draw it. So I'm working on that. I'm working on building my visual library. That is a thing some people say that I thought was just a bunch of buzzwords, but it's not. It's an actual thing. Anyway, here I am drawing, painting in my sketchbook with this color. I kept the purple skin tone because, as I said before, it was my favorite thing about this character. It was, when you make a character, sometimes you kind of get this thing in your head where it sticks. Something sticks with that character. So forever from now on, when I think of this character, I will always think of a purple skin tone. I don't know why that's like stuck with her, but it did. And I'm using white to highlight, because I had white acrylic, and I had purple acrylic, and I had gold and silver. So you can see the Artist Loft. That is the cheapest brand that is near me in paints. The tubes are very small. They're about the size of my pinky finger. I can't tell you the milliliters. Very small. The smallest you can find, almost like a sample tube that you would get from like somewhere else. And I'm using just basic, this is a My Touch brush, and then I have Winsor & Newton brushes, which I use for gouache and watercolor. I wouldn't usually recommend using watercolor and gouache brushes with acrylic, but I cleaned them really, really well, and they seem to be fine. So the My Touch, I believe, are for acrylic, and the Winsor & Newtons that I use all the time are for gouache and watercolor, and I think I only used one of them, so it was alright. The legs, I went for like a really small brush for the legs, and what I decided to do in this piece, which I really thought about bringing into the digital once I decided to scrap this, was spider webs. Now when you think of spider webs, you think of like a spider living in its spider web. So I decided to turn her head almost into a spider web nest. And maybe if I one day improve on this character, I will bring that in, because I really do like the concept. I don't like my execution. Like I said, I still have much to learn as far as my visual library goes. I think what I should have done is looked up references for spider webs, and then taken what I learned from those references and added it. Because right now it just looks like there's spaghetti laying on her head, and I really didn't like that. I liked the idea. I didn't like the execution. You can actually see it here, where I'm just kind of getting super frustrated and painting really fast. And the paint is streaking like crazy, which I don't usually have a problem with, but I did here. The sparkly, shimmery silver, I'm not sure if you can see it on camera, but it looks very beautiful in person. I was very surprised because, as I said, the Artist Loft acrylic paints are very, very cheap. I got it in a small little set with just gouache, watercolor, and acrylic. It had all three of those with the Artist Loft, within the Artist Loft brand. And I was really surprised at how shimmery and sparkly the metallic silver and gold were. They were brilliant. The color payoff was really great. The regular colors for the Artist Loft aren't bad, but specific colors like dark colors like the purple and the dark blue, those colors don't really have as much deep payoff as some of my other paints, some of my more expensive paints. But I was really surprised. You can actually see the tubes there. Though it is sped up, so it's a little hard to see. But yeah, I was really surprised with the gold and the silver. And I don't know if I would have kept the concept. I was excited about the spider webs, and I kept trying to make it a spider web. I drew a spider web background, and I tried to make it look very mystical with like little stars and a spider web. And I just really end up truly hating this piece. And I thought maybe line art would fix it. It didn't. It made it worse. So I just end up scrapping it. And I think it's okay when you draw something that you really don't like and you've worked on this. I worked on this painting for about 3 hours, almost 4 hours. When you spend that long on something, what I tend to do is I tend to make a piece, and if I hate it, I go and I try to fix it, 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 and it just makes it progressively worse. And sometimes you just need to scrap a piece of art and move on and get, another idea. So I think it's okay sometimes to hate something you make, as long as you don't give up and you continue to bring whatever you were going to bring into this world to a creation of some type that you like. So what I ended up doing is I just moved everything off the page and turned this canvas right side up and made her like kind of a portrait. And I didn't really add too much. I added a little bit of splatters to the background. I changed up her color layout a little bit. I added white behind the colors so that her skin color and everything would be influenced by the yellow. And that was all she really needed. She needed a background that wasn't just pure kind of like orangey white. Not orangey white, orangey yellow. And that was it. That was all this character really needed. I didn't need to go above and beyond for something like that. I did add some darker splatters to make the background look more dark, kind of dynamic. And then I added a purple. Now, Procreate added this new thing in the Procreate update where you can have complementary colors. So I picked the purple skin tone and I made it super complementary, which was cool. That's the first time I've ever used that. But all in all, I really think this character turned out okay. Even after all the struggles and revisions and stuff like that, I think she turned out great. So there's my Medusa spider lady. I'm not quite sure if she has a name. I don't think she does. But she just looks creepy, and I like to character design. Hopefully I can come up with new characters that are interesting in the future. A lot of my characters are just basic humans with superpowers. And while superheroes are great and amazing and probably my favorite thing ever, it's probably good to expand into creatures and creepy. Once I get more into anatomy, I feel like I'll be able to turn these characters into something more out there. I won't have to sit in my comfort zone so much. Here she is. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you later, hopefully. Bye.